microphone?
Nope.
So why not? I thought you wanted it on.
Well, to guess what, we're currently live, Steph.
Oh. How do you turn this
Well,
on?
so once
you wanted it on.
Once you start the live video. Hello, everybody. I'm teaching Steph how to start an Instagram live right now.
I know how. Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah. And we're live everywhere. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chan's Logic episode
Yikes.
27.
Why are you yelling?
Because I can't see you. You're so far down there.
You're on your tiptoes.
Look at her. I told Steph she might need a stepping stool in order to make this work because we're inside of our office and we're standing now. And I decided if you're going to do a broadcast and if you're going to do any sort of podcast, you have to be standing so you can really represent and manifest your feelings and your thoughts and your ideas, and then people can feel it coming through the computer. But the problem is Steph is 4'3".
That's me. No, I am not.
Have we talked about this before? Did
Yeah.
we do this last time too?
I think we do it every time we talk about how short I am.
That's true. She's really short.
So.
Really short, terrible driver. What else?
That's not true. I'm a good driver. You haven't died. I chauffeur you everywhere.
That's true, I guess. So we are officially live. I'm going to share this everywhere. Today we wanted to talk about communication and the fact that if you have a failure to communicate, you're always going to end up with problems. The biggest problems in their business, problems with friends, problems with associates or whatever it is, whatever your problems that come up are usually because you haven't effectively communicated with each other and you haven't told each other what you need to do, you haven't established a plan of action, and you actually haven't done anything to make sure that everybody knows what's going on and everybody's feelings and everybody's thoughts and ideas and strategies are well understood. Right, Steph?
Yep.
So when it comes down to it, the way you organize communication is really big, and you have to have a leader. So you have to have someone who's there to manage the communication, and someone who's there to organize the communication, and someone who's there to monitor the communication. Because more often than not, and especially for us, we have 3 different organizations we're working in, and you have to communicate constantly with people on what you need, how you need it. You need to follow up with them and ask how it's going. You need to, after you ask how it's going, you need to follow up and ask, do you understand what we talked about? Do you have any questions? What can I do to help you out? And the problem that we get in life and in business especially is we set up this communication as like a set it and forget it. And it can't be set it and forget it because that's not the way communication works. You're going to talk to someone about something, you're going to develop a plan of action, develop a strategy, and develop what you need to happen. But then after the fact, you guys need to say like, hey, do you understand what happened? Do you have any questions? Do you need me to clear up anything that you don't understand? And they're probably going to say no. But then a week later or a couple of days later, you need to follow up with, hey, I know you had some time to think about what we talked about, what we built, and what we designed and organized. Have you thought up any questions now? And do you need any help with anything? And 9 times out of 10, that's the point when they're going to say, oh, yeah, actually, I did have a bunch of questions about that. And you're going to be able to basically pull out what they were wondering. Versus the problem we see more often than not is you set up the first meeting or you set up a conversation where you guys talk about this and you guys have the initial planning phase, but then you never follow up again. And then you wonder for weeks, like, I wonder if they're getting the work done. They don't seem to be getting the work done. They seem frustrated. What's going on? But you don't actually talk to that person. And when you don't talk to that person, you start to feel like they're not doing their job.
You're just taking it away. I don't even think you've breathed.
I don't breathe when I do this.
Yeah.
This is content piece number like 27 today. So that's right. So if you don't communicate effectively, and if you don't communicate in a good way, and if you don't continuously follow up, you're never going to put yourself into a position to where you're in a good situation with your employees, with your friends. A lot of people have friends that they set things up with. They don't communicate effectively. Everything falls apart, and then people start blaming each other for what went wrong. But in reality, it was just failure to communicate in the long run. Phases of strategic planning. There's a planning phase. There's a planning phase. There's an execution phase, and the post-execution analysis phase. And in each of these phases, there's high levels of communication that need to happen on both an in-person basis, and then we also have methods of like online communication, all of that stuff. And one of the things that have been really effective for us in effectively communicating not only in staff meetings and in front of our staff and with people in person, but because we run organizations that are online based and have multiple people in parts of the world, mostly in the US and like Canada, we found that we have to have effective means of communication even outside of email, because email you can go back and forth with, but it's still not real-time communication, and it's really hard to get feedback right away with email most of the time.
It's like computer text.
Yeah,
it's like text. AOL Instant Messenger back in the day. That's all it is now.
Yeah, it's
just on a bigger platform.
It's true. And so what we use for that kind of stuff is it's Slack. And Slack allows you to develop channels and departments and everything. So you have your whole company organized virtually. You can have like an in-person company. Then you organize everything virtually in Slack. So everybody can go to each different department and talk to people in there. They can private message each other to go back and forth. And you can really get yourself organized and set up.
You can put files, videos, pictures.
It's
you
really
can save things. Yeah. You can send messages to yourself. I see you do that all the time.
That's true.
Lots of messages to yourself.
Slack is really cool because I can message myself and it becomes my little notepad. And I have this huge long running list of things I message myself
on
about.
top of the huge long list on your phone.
Yeah. I have like 27 different pieces on my notepad that I use to remember what I want to do. Or sometimes I'll be walking around, I have a really good idea and I have to grab my phone and pull it out before I forget. Or if it's a good piece of content based off the situation I was in, I have to grab it and put it in my thing real quick or I'll forget. So what we found is if you have in the local business, it comes down to communication and staff meetings. And ultimately the best way to do this is like weekly staff meetings or even like little daily huddles, like daily 15-minute huddles, even if you're just talking, it's not super formal. And then a more like weekly format for another meeting, and then maybe even a bi-weekly overview of what's going on and what kind of action meeting. Then outside of this, the ability to follow up on Slack is really big, or whatever you use, Glip, Slack, Asana, there's a ton of tools. I like Slack because it's easy to learn and understand, and people who are tech savvy and oriented will be able to pick it up and not have problems. So you use Slack outside of your meetings to say, hey, great meeting today, everybody. Here's the key points we went over. Who has questions? And you tag them all in it. And then they can get on there and they can talk back and forth and give ideas. And you can have a good conversation in Slack about everything you went over. Then what I found on top of that is Slack is still not enough for project management, for managing the things we need to do in our businesses and to make sure that projects are streamlined and working ongoing. And this works in the local business and the remote stuff as well. So we have to take it another level. So now you have a level of in-person communication or meetings or stuff, all that stuff. Then you have Slack that you can go back and forth with and communicate on there to reinforce ideas and ask quick questions and make sure you're always on the same page. Then you have something like Basecamp. We actually use Teamwork for a lot of this. So you open up a Teamwork setup with each person that you're working with or with each client that you're working with. And you set it up so they have their own folder. They have a notebook where you put notes about everything you talked about with them. They can go into their portal and check off projects and check off ideas and check off things they need to do. And then your team can go in there and communicate. And Teamwork has a Slack alternative as well. We haven't actually worked with it very much or at all, but we find that Slack plus the project management tool of Teamwork plus the actual in-person meetings and communication create the most effective blend of communication that we need in order to get our points across and make sure everything's reinforced and making sure everybody stays on task.
I blacked out.
Did you black out? That was really good. I gave everybody a whole project management strategy.
I know. I heard all that.
It was pretty exciting.
It was, yeah.
How do you feel about all of this?
I use all the same stuff. I like all these things.
Yeah. How does it work from your point of view?
It's wonderful because I don't like talking on like videos and doing this stuff, so I just send messages behind the scenes.
Yeah, Steph's she really likes Slack. She messages back and forth on there. When we do team meetings, she'll tell everybody what we're doing, what we're talking about. We have either she writes notes about everything, or one of our guys, Dale does, or if we're in one of the other organizations, Steph will write them. But the big thing is we have these communication tools because we need to constantly and effectively communicate. When someone's upset with you, when you don't get a project done, when a client cancels, or when something doesn't go according to plan or the way you wanted it to go, 9 times out of 10 it's because you failed to communicate effectively what you needed and how you were going to get that point across.
Right.
And it's on both sides. It's on the side of the leader for not giving everybody the tools they need to effectively communicate. And it's on the side of the people on the team for not asking and for being afraid to ask. And sometimes your team is afraid to ask because they feel like they'll look stupid or something like that, or the question's dumb. But you need to organize your meetings and your Slack and everything into a way that there are no dumb questions, and that everything you ask is okay and you're going to get a good response, and nobody's going to look at you like you're an idiot or anything like that, unless you ask a question that is actually stupid, like describe the color yellow. Then everybody can have fun and go back and forth with that. But what we really need to focus on is these 3 prongs to communication. So there's in person. If you have a local business, then there's means of communication via Slack, and then the means of communication via Teamwork, or a project management tool. So Johnny said, "Teamwork out, bro." Heck yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
Those are just called genetics.
If I stand like this, you can see my jack buys. Touch my pec.
No.
So when you organize communication, just organize it into this 3-pronged strategy. This 3-pronged strategy should be in-person communication. If you can't be in person because you have a virtual organization, then set up something like Zoom meeting software or GoToMeeting. So that way you guys have the ability to communicate what it seems like in person, because you can see each other, which is nice. I'm on meetings a lot.
Chan and Dave every day at first thing in the morning, their voices.
Yeah, we've got virtual communication down to a science.
That's their favorite hour of the day, 9 a.m. when they get to talk to each other.
That's right. We have daily huddles. So it's opened up. We have a daily huddle. We open up a Zoom meeting. We talk about what we need to do for the day, and then we keep the meeting open while we collaborate and work on stuff and talk back and forth. So it's like you're in an actual office working together, and it's like you're in a position to where you're right next to each other. Then after that, we'll get off the meetings. We'll do 175 hours of content for the week, and then we'll get on Slack and we'll communicate back and forth about questions and problems and issues and things we need to clear up. And then once we figure everything on there, we tell the girls to go put everything into Teamwork and make that work in a way that's going to work for us, or in Infusionsoft, because we also use that as a CRM or a customer relationship management tool. Mm-hmm. And when it comes down to it, what we did was we knew we needed effective communication. We knew we needed a way to bridge the gap of communication when you're not in person. And we knew we needed a way to store information and to give people tasks and assign duties to clients and all of that stuff. And when we figured that out, we found the technology we needed. One mistake we didn't make was trying to pick up a bunch of technology and put what we need into that to work around that technology. We knew what we needed. We knew how we needed it to work. And so we found what was going to work for us. And that came down to in-person stuff, obviously, Zoom meetings, GoToMeeting. It came down to Slack, and then Teamwork and Infusionsoft for our sales and marketing pipeline funnel and our task management solution.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's a lot of instruments that we're using to make this work, but in reality, these are a critical piece of doing business.
Yeah. I mean, you're not on all of them all at once all the time. I mean, it's just, you get notifications, and then you know, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like you have to use
24/7.
Yeah, like you're on Zoom for a couple hours, slacking constantly. That's probably the one we use the most. The project manager stuff is literally just for the like more outward, like how we communicate with clients. But yeah, Slack and what Zoom are our major communication tools as far as like within the team.
Yeah, so what it really comes down to is it's a system. And we created a system around what we specifically needed to make our business function well and to make communication with clients actually function well. And once we figured out that communication and what we needed out of that system, we took what we needed and we created it around all the products that were available for us. What do you think, Steph?
Yep.
So, and when you guys are organizing your communication meetings, look at it from a big picture perspective first. So say, hey, we need to communicate effectively. How are we going to do this? These are the pieces we need. So say, hey, we need in-person stuff. we need something for chatter, and then we need something for project management. And this is going to work for a local business like a gym or a hairdresser shop. What's it called? A hairstylist shop?
Salon or
a bearded gentleman store, a salon, a whiskey bar. Any of those things are going to be able to. Oh, you don't like the whiskey bar?
just spouting off random stuff.
Yeah, that was super random. Or if you have an online business, so say you have a remote business that has teams all over the country or all different offices, you need to make sure you have effective communication with each other. When you have that organized, you say, okay, we need, like I was saying earlier, we need the in-person tool. So it's either actually in person or it's like meeting software, Zoom meeting, GoToMeeting. We prefer Zoom. GoToMeeting sucks.
Okay.
Just kidding. Everybody always has more problems with GoToMeeting, so we switched to Zoom and we like it a lot better. But so have the in-person aspect, then say, okay, now how do we clear our chatter, make sure our work chatter is available and okay when it's working? Because not everyone's going to want to do like texting and stuff after work or on their own phone or any of that stuff. So set Slack or something like Slack so they can chat around there, turn their notifications off when they leave work or turn them off never like us. And then on top of that, so now that we have this organized, how do we manage every single person who's coming into our business, and how do we manage all the people who we're interacting with to make sure nobody slips through the cracks and we know how they're feeling and we're communicating with them as well? Because client communication outside of actual business and team communication is your next biggest thing that you need to tackle.
Right.
So that's when you pick up something like teamwork. Teamwork, you set everybody up in a folder, you set a little notepad for all the people. Every interaction and conversation you have, you write notes about them. Then you save it as a project. If you need them to finish something or complete something, you have them check off all their information and their tasks. So those are your three tools, and we could probably get away with just using Infusionsoft for everything, but what we realized is Infusionsoft is good for managing our tasks and our efficiency and our processes and our sales and marketing pipeline and then our email strategy, but it doesn't quite take care of the client management and client interaction solutions. So that's why we picked up teamwork. Oh, that was fun. You said 4 words.
I said like 8.
And 2 of them you said my text looked good.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did. Freaking weirdo. So that's communication in a nutshell. I'll write a blog on this, the 3-pronged strategy. So the in-person communication, the chatter, and then the project management tool or the project management capabilities. And when it comes down to it, you need to figure out what you want, and then you need to figure out the technology that's going to work for you. You can't be afraid of technology. A lot of people we work with still use like Google Sheets and stuff like that to organize their strategy, and it's just makes things more difficult. You can systematize your entire life and your entire business by doing this, and you're going to save yourself hours and hours and hours and hours of like tedious, repetitive work and stuff that you're not going to want to do over and over and over again, which is going to waste time. And our most precious asset is time.
Ding. Time's up.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's all I have to say about communication. If you guys have questions or want us to talk more about some of the stuff we use, post it in the comments. If you're listening to this on the audio version, shoot me an email, chandler@stonyfield.com. We're always happy to answer questions and go back and forth. And lastly, Steph's been really sad because we haven't had anybody review our podcast in like a week or 2. So if you don't want her to cry and be sad, go ahead and review this podcast if you like it. We prefer 5-star reviews, but if you hate us, give us a 1-star anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody hates us, though. Everybody likes us. All right. This is Chandler signing out. Steph, say bye. They can't see you. Stand up.
I can see me.
See ya. Bye.